let's address the elephant in the room, that voice that's always there. And it may be more than one that tells you how you're not good enough, how you're not big enough, how you're not pretty enough, how you're not small enough, how you're not successful enough, how you cannot move towards and achieve what it is you're trying to achieve. That's what I want to talk to you about today. Breaking free from the limiting beliefs and that negative self talk. So, welcome back to Reclaiming Your Power. I'm Dawn, your host, and today we're going to be diving into something we all experience, but we don't really talk about it as much as we probably should. And we probably overlook it a lot more than we should. And that's limiting beliefs, negative self talk. These are those sneaky and persistent voices that tell us that we're not good enough, that we can't succeed, and that we just simply don't deserve the things we desire. Today, today is the day I want to help you shift from that mindset into one of self empowerment. So, whether you're working on opening up your spiritual gifts, navigating through a major life transition, or really moving forward anywhere on your journey, limiting beliefs can hold you back in ways that you don't even realize. So, I want to start with sharing a little something personal. For a long time, I struggled with feeling that I wasn't good enough. And yes, to even today, every here and there, it comes up, usually during an expansion, a growth, something along those lines. But despite all the work that I've done as a reader, as a spiritual advisor in the whole area, and even other things before that, there was always that voice. I want to say it was a small voice, but sometimes it was a lot bigger than me. Who are you to teach others? What if they find out you don't have all the answers? And it took me a while to realize that this voice wasn't my truth. It was just a belief that I had internalized over time and created an energy that created this voice or even groups of voices. So maybe you've heard that voice too, telling you that you can't step into your power. You can't have what you want. You're not good enough. You're not young enough. You're not old enough. You're not big enough. You're not small enough. Whatever the case is, that you aren't worthy of success and happiness. And it's time we challenge that. So let me start with explaining a little bit more about limiting beliefs and that negative talk that we do to ourselves. What these really are deeply held assumptions that we make about ourselves. So we're believing it through assumptions towards ourself and creating that energy that literally can sound like a voice. Sometimes it's formed in our childhood along, or during traumatic experiences. It's not really so much as what had happened as how we perceive it. But negative talk is the internal dialogue that reinforces these beliefs and starts chipping away at our self confidence and our self worth. Some of the most common ones that I hear from my clients include, oh, I'm too old to start something new, or I'm not intuitive enough to connect with my guides. And these thoughts can feel so real, but in truth, they're just stories that we've been willing to tell ourselves over and over until it becomes fact for us. So, I want to share with you a few practical steps on how we can start shifting that mindset because knowing about the problem is only the first step. The action that we can take and knowing what that action is to change it, now that's something different. And the same mind that created the problem is not going to be the same mind that finds the solution. So I want you to hear me today. I want to share 3 steps with you on how you can start breaking free from these limiting beliefs and start shutting down that negative self-talk. The first one we've already started, and that is becoming aware of the belief, paying attention to the moments. So what I like to do is when I have that internal dialogue, really hone in and dial it in on that conversation and pay attention to that voice just for a moment, and kind of analyze it from a third party perspective and a bird's eye view, if you will. You know, how does it make me feel? How does it make you feel when you hear that? Uh, just to be aware, though, is the key, because you can't change something that you're not aware of. And oftentimes we have just assumed that it's just become such a part of us along the way that we're no longer aware of it when we hear it. Okay. So the second thing that we can do now that we're aware of it and we've isolated it and really paid attention to it, now we can start to challenge that belief. You can ask yourself, is this really true? Is this really true? Is this voice telling me truth? Is there any truth within what is being said to me? So if you believe you're not good enough, ask, according to who? What evidence do I have to support this belief? And that will probably come up easy. But then I want you to go beyond that. What evidence do I have to disprove it? This is where the what I call your badass list really comes in handy. And if you've never heard me speak on that, I won't get into all the details today, but it's basically just a list that you keep that is ever evolving. So it's never ending, of things that you have, challenges that you have been faced with in your life that you overcame. And maybe today you're still like, wow, I did that shit. I am such a badass. Keep that list, write those things down. I'm not going to do a full training on that today, but this is when that really comes in handy. What evidence do I have to disprove it? You're not going to have to search within the depths of your mind if you have it already written out on paper. Okay. Now, the third step. So already we've become aware of the voice, we've identified it, and we've started to pay attention to it instead of just letting it be as it eats away in our brain. We've challenged it. Now we get to reframe that narrative. So this is where we get to shift it into something empowering instead of stealing our power, diminishing who we are. So instead of saying, I'm not enough, try saying and shift it within the realms of truth, because you are hearing yourself, and you will negate it if it's just an out and out opposite of what you actually believe. There will be a part of you in your body that says, oh, that's a big fat lie. So it has to stay within those boundaries of still being the truth, but in a different light. So instead of saying, well, I'm not enough, try to shift that into, I am constantly growing and I have everything I need to succeed right now. So this isn't about pretending that everything's perfect. It's not about ignoring that voice. It's not about just allowing it to be and not calling it out, but it's rather aligning your thoughts with the truth of your actual potential. Now, today I want to give you a little bit of homework. I'm going to give you some action to take care of, to do on your own. No, you're not going to get graded on this. And no, you don't have to do this unless you want to start changing. And only you know if you're ready to start. Only you know if you're done playing it small and going through the motions, but not getting to where you want to be. Only you know that. So I want to leave you with this simple yet powerful exercise. Each morning for the first week, for this next week coming, I want you to write down one limiting belief or a negative thought that comes up. Just one, doesn't have to be a whole list. But then right next to that, I want you to rewrite that in a positive light. So reframe that into the positive side of things. Just like the example I showed earlier. It could be really something as simple as I am capable, I am open to learning. Watch how these small shifts in your thinking start to change how you feel and act. You could probably feel it within your body already, even as we're just discussing it right now. So, this is really about reclaiming your power. And when you start to take control of that inner dialogue, you are no longer letting those old stories that are just really ingrained and dug in there, you're no longer letting them define your journey. You are writing your own narrative. So, I want you to let me know in the comments, is this something you're willing to do? What's the thoughts that are coming up? And after you do this for either one day or the whole week, whatever, when you start to see that aha moment, when you start to see that shift, I want you to let me know about it. I want you to share that so that it can encourage others, so that it can remind you, and so that you can really reclaim your power. So, thank you so much for tuning in to today's episode of Reclaiming Your Power. I hope that this episode has given you some insight and tools to start really breaking down those limiting beliefs. If you're looking for a deeper support on this journey, don't forget to check out my free online Facebook community, the Sacred Empowerment Project group, where we dive even further into these topics through a monthly masterclass, sometimes held by me, hosted by me, and sometimes hosted by others in their field of expertise, all with the same agenda of empowering you and helping you to empower yourself. Next time, we're going to be talking about how to connect more deeply with your intuition and trust the guidance that you're receiving. So until then, remember and never forget, you are more powerful than your fears. You are more capable than your doubts. Trust yourself. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Leave your comments below, ask your questions, and check out the description in the video below the video to work with me closer. It's been amazing, guys. I will see you on our next episode.